When you really think about it, life is just full of surprises, especially when it comes to friendships. I remember back when I was a freshman, fresh out of high school, just starting university in my first semester, everything felt new, super exciting. I vividly recall the first day of orientations. Everyone was trying to play it cool, acting reserved. But deep down, everyone probably just wanted to find close friends, right? Wanted to find a crew, a best friend they could go through thick and thin with for the next 4 years. I was definitely one of those people. Among all those new faces, one guy immediately caught my eye. Let's call him Ryu. He was the type of guy who was easy to get along with, really outgoing, and he just had this leader vibe about him. His hair was a bit long, his style was casual but cool, and he always seemed to be the center of attentions in every conversation. He was smart, full of ideas, and he could always make people laugh. Seriously, if you judge him by his cover, Rio was the whole package. He totally looked like he was going to be my best friend at the university. He had connection everywhere, knew a lot of information, and always seemed so confident. I immediately thought, yep, this is the guy we're definitely going to click. That was the first big illusion I had about friendship in college. I was absolutely convinced he was the one. We hit it off quickly in that first semester. We were almost always together, from heading to class, sitting next to each other, working on group assignments, to just hanging out at the cafeteria or a cafe near campus. We would often talk about our futures, our dreams, even personal stuff like crushes or family problems. I felt so comfortable with Rio. He was a good listener and he always gave sensible advice. He also often introduced me to his friends from other faculties, so my social circle got wider. Basically, Rio was like a magnet. He always made the atmosphere lively. I genuinely believe he will be my lifelong best friend, the person I could trust the most on this campus. But you know, life just loves to play tricks. The very person I thought would be my true best friend is now the furthest away. And what's worse, he's the one who eventually stabbed me in the back. As time went on, moving into semester 2 and then semester 3 and so on, little things started to make me think Rio was outgoing and sure, but sometimes he was too outgoing. He was the type of person who could get along with anyone, but sometimes it felt like his friendliness was just superficial. He would often make sweet promises like he would help with this assignment or go to that event with me, but he would end up breaking those promises a lot. At first, I would think, oh, maybe he forgot, or maybe he was just really busy. I always tried to think positively about him. I was probably too naive to see the red flags. Then there was something else. Rio had huge ambitions. He wanted to be the most important person on campus, the most famous, the most smartest. There's nothing wrong with ambitions, of course, but sometimes his methods made me uncomfortable. He often talked about other people behind their backs, or sometimes he take advantage of certain situations. For example, if we had a group assignment, he would often only contribute ideas and then me or another friend would do all the actual work. But during presentations, he would be the most vocal, making it look like he would done all the hard work. I started feeling like I was being used, like I was just stepping stone for his own success. I was subtle at first, just little notch of discomfort, but they added up. On the other hand, also during that semester, I met another person. His name was Donnie. Donnie was complete opposite of Rio. If Rio was loud and outgoing, Donnie was this guy who was super quiet. He wasn't really into hanging out or gathering in big groups. He preferred reading books at the library, deep into research, or just chilling and doing his hobbies in his room. His appearance was also just normal, nothing flashy, nothing stylish like Rio, Honestly, when I first met him, I thought, oh, this guy probably won't click with me at all. He seemed stiff and he didn't even talk much. I even thought he might be arrogant or just boring. That was then discovered in my eyes. I never imagined he would become a close friend, let alone my best friend. He just seemed like someone I would have a polite, nodding acquaintance with and nothing more. But well, fate has a funny way of working because of one shared course, and coincidentally, we were in the same group for a project. I started interacting with Tony a lot. At first, it was definitely awkward. He would only answer my questions as needed, and I didn't know what to talk about either. There were a lot of uncomfortable silence, but slowly as we worked on assignments together, I started to see another side of Tony. He was incredibly meticulous, paying attention to every detail. He was a hardworking guy, always putting in the effort, and he had a really broad knowledge about so many different things. If he talked about something he was passionate about, his eyes would light up and he could talk for a long time with such enthusiasm. It was like watching a completely different person. He also never complained about the workload. When it came to assignments, he was always willing to help if someone was struggling without being asked. He also had strong principles. He didn't like small talk or beating around the bush. He was always honest. If he didn't like something, he would say it directly, but always in a polite and respectful way. Not like Rio, who loved to talk behind people's backs, spreading gossips or tearing others down. I started to feel genuinely comfortable with Tony. He was like calm water, quiet and steady, but that's precisely what made me feel at ease. There was no drama, no hidden agendas. He was always a good listener, truly listening to what I had to say. He never judged me, and he always gave genuine, heartfelt support. It was kind of peace I didn't even realize I was missing. Slowly, without me noticing, my relationship with Tony became closer. We started to get together often at the library or just have coffee while chatting about different things. I started talking about my anxiety, about questions about future, and even things that were starting to make me uncomfortable with Rio. Tony always listens patiently, and he always gives an objective view. He would never warm up, but he also never hid the truth. He was just honest and steady. The climax happened in semester 4. At the time, there was a big project on campus, a kind of interfaculty competition. Rio, with his ambition, immediately put himself forward and became the team leader for our faculty. I, still under the illusion of our close friendship, naturally joined in. Tony also participated, but true to his nature, he preferred to stay behind the scenes, working as a part of the research team. He was the brains, the meticulous worker, the one who actually got things done. That project was incredibly demanding. We had to pull all-nighters for days on end, facing intense pressure from lecturers and competing fiercely with other faculties. It was a high-stakes environment. In the midst of all that, I started to see Rio's true colors even more deeply. He would often take my ideas or other friends' ideas that we would brainstorm and develop, and then he would present them as if they were his own, taking all the credit. He also loved to boss people around, giving out orders left and right, but he himself rarely got his hands dirty, rarely put in the actual work. If there was a problem, he was the quickest to point finger and blame others. It was all about the facade, the show, and never the substance. The breaking point, the moment that truly shattered my heart and my perception of him, happened during the crucial presentation. We were presenting in front of our supervising lecturers and some university officials, a really big deal. I had prepared the data and the presentation very meticulously. meticulously. I had poured hours into it, but then it was Rio's turn to speak. He actually had the audacity to say that the data I had collected was insufficient and that he had prepared more accurate data. The data he showed that was Tony's hard work, meticulously gathered, all analyzed, and which Rio had taken without a single word of permission. He didn't even mention Tony's name at all. I was absolutely stunned, frozen in my seat, and Tony sitting beside me looked just as shocked and hurt. It was a gut punch. After the presentation was over, as soon as we had a moment alone, I immediately went to confront Rio. Why did you say that? That was Tony data, wasn't it? Why didn't you say it was his data? I asked, my voice trembling with suppressed emotions, barely managing to keep my composure. Rio just gave me this dismissive smirk. Oh, chill out, bro. It's just to make the presentation look good. Besides, Tony doesn't like being in the spotlight. You'll understand. His word honestly disgusted me. He showed no remorse, no apology, no sign of understanding how deeply he had hurt both me and Tony. He had no shame. It was that exact moment I realized that the person I had considered my best friend all this time, the person I trust so much, could be so utterly heartless and self-serving. He was willing to stab me in the back and betray Donnie just for his own ambition, for a little more glory. After that incident, my relationship with Rio immediately soared. I couldn't look at him the same way. I just couldn't bring myself to be close to him anymore. I felt truly, deeply betrayed. Tony felt the same. He felt used, taken advantage of. We both ended up spending even more time together, sharing our disappointment and anger towards Rio. Tony, with his characteristic calmness, always managed to help me clearly. He never told me to hate Rio or dwell on the anger, but he always reminded me to be careful with people like that, to recognize the signs. He taught me to guard my trust. It was precisely in those difficult, messy moments that my bond of my friendship with Tony grew stronger than anything I had imagined. He didn't talk much, but his quiet, steady presence was always incredibly calming. He was always there for me, not just when things were good and easy, but also when I was feeling really down and disillusioned. He never expected anything in return. He was genuine, truly genuine. He was exactly the definition of don't judge a book by its cover. From someone I initially thought I would never click with, who seemed stiff and boring, he became my true, unwavering best friend. He showed me what real loyalty and integrity look like. Now here I am in my 6th semester. Time feels like it's flown by so fast, from a freshman full of illusion and starry-eyed dreams. Now I'm at the stage where I'm truly experiencing the bittersweet reality of university life. And one thing that's become really clear in this later semester is that my circle of friends is getting smaller, much smaller. It's not that we had fights or anything though. It's just that, well, everyone individual busy schedules just great distance. The friends who used to hang out all the time, grabbing meals, going to parties, now they were all busy with their own things. Some are deep into KKN, others are already doing internships, some are busy working on their final thesis, and some are even starting to look for their first job. Our schedules just don't sync up anymore. The spontaneous meetups are gone, replaced by careful planning or often dismissed connection. I myself, as I mentioned earlier, am a super busy face preparing for KKN is no joke. I have to research potential locations, gather data about the community, and then put together practical community programs that are actually relevant to the needs of the people here. This is not just theory from classes, it's about actually going into the field, interacting directly with the residents, solving real problems, not to mention all the administrative stuff, drafting proposal, getting approvals, and dealing with various permits that needs to be processed. All of that consumes a significant amounts of time and energy, way more than I ever anticipated. Then at the exact same time, I'm also doing an internship at a logistic company. So the time I have to actually hang out with friends has become extremely limited. Even if there is time, it's usually just for a short while, or often just through quick group chats. My friendship circle has really narrowed down from dozens of friends I knew and hung out with in semester 1. Now the one who are truly close to interact regularly can genuinely be counted on one hand, and one of the most loyal ones who is sticking by me through all this busy chaos is Donnie. Donnie is also busy with his own stuff. He is deeply focused on his research project, which is his passion. He also started an internship at different company, but somehow, miraculously, we always manage to find time to talk, to connect. Sometimes it's just a quick text message to check in, sometimes a short video call if we both have a free moment, or if we happen to have a rare, truly free block of time, we might grab coffee together. He doesn't demand much of my time or energy, and he always understands when I tell him I'm swamped. He never gets mad if I reply late to a message or if I cannot join a group hangout. They just know I'm in the thick of it, grinding through.